So when people think of Texas, they think of cowboys,
Yeehaw!
the wild, wild west, country accents that everybody must have grown up on a farm, and everybody's wearing blue jeans with a cowboy hat and boots. So stick around because today we're going to be debunking
Could you please?
all of the myths around what you can really expect when you move here to Texas. So let's do this. Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Valera. I'm a former teacher turned realtor living in the beautiful city of McKinney, Texas, and today we're debunking those myths surrounding good old Texas living. So the biggest thing about Texas compared to any other state in the United States is that the cost of living is significantly lower than many of the other states.
Nice.
According to an article by Money Wizard, Texas ranks 10th out of 50 states and is regarded by many as a very inexpensive place to live in the nation. And you can check out the full article by Money Wizard by going in the description below and checking out the link to the article. So the inexpensive cost of living paired with cheaper gas and no state income tax gives Texas a leg up in the cost of living category. The next thing that you really need to know about Texas is that it is big on its barbecue and Tex-Mex. Although Austin claims to have the best tacos in the state, we all know it's Dallas. And if you're a true Texan, you're always on the hunt for the next best barbecue. Whether it's swapping rubs and recipes and making it yourself, or finding the best spot in town for that tender, juicy brisket, chicken, sausage, you name it. I'm drooling already. All right, next, let's talk about the weather a little bit here in Texas. From hurricanes closer to the coast to snowstorms in the Panhandle. And if you don't know what the Panhandle is, you're taking Texas and it's like the pan's handle. So when they say Texas Panhandle, this is where they mean. To a dry desert climate over in West Texas, and here in more of the northeast section of Texas, you can expect heavy rain, thunderstorms, and an occasional tornado throughout that area. So Texas history is a pretty big deal here. Not only do we start educating our children from kindergarten all the way up through college, and it's even a required course in most state colleges here in Texas. And since Texas history is such a big deal, I wanted to let you know a couple of fun facts about Texas, just in case you didn't know. So fun fact number one is that Texas went 10 years as its own country.
Holy moly.
And Texas history really shines when we talk about the Alamo and how it was kind of our last stand and trying to really fight for our freedom against Mexico at that time. And two very prominent quotes that come from the Alamo are obviously, remember the Alamo, because after we lost the Battle of the Alamo, it was kind of our battle cry, is to remember all those that fought and died for the cause, and we're gonna continue to try to push forward and become independent from Mexico. So the actual phrase "come and take it" actually comes from King Leonidas, who was defying the Persian army at the time, saying, "Come and take our weapons." And the famous flag with the cannon, the words "come and take it," and a star actually come in reference to the historical Battle of Gonzales. So the story kind of goes like this. In 1831, the Mexican government actually gave those colonists in Gonzales a cannon to fend off from the Indian raids that were happening in the city. And so when Mexico said, "Hey, you need to give us that cannon back," so then the citizens in Gonzales said, "No way, we're not giving this cannon back. Now we're defending ourselves against you." And that was really a huge and crucial part in the Texas Revolution and Texas trying to gain its independence from Mexico. And actually, a year after that battle was won, Texas was actually able to gain its independence from Mexico. The symbol of the cannon and the words "come and take it" have really come to mean and symbolize defiance against someone or something who's really trying to grind you down or deprive you of a certain right or privilege. So Texas is the only state to have 6 flags fly over it, meaning 6 different nations have control of that particular land at one time. Let me see if I can name them all. So there was, Republic of Texas, Mexico, Spain, France, the United States. There's one more. Maybe it was, I don't know. We'll have you look it up. So be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to be giving you some amazing tips on where you can find your ideal location here in Texas. All right, so another thing that you really need to know about Texas is that the Texas motto here is friendship. So Tejas is actually a Spanish word for an Indian word that means friend or ally. And the culture here in Texas is very welcoming and friendly. And if you move here from out of state, don't be trash talking Texans or Texas things or that kind of stuff. That's just not very nice.
What?
And something that we're gonna talk a little bit about later is how manners are such a big part of our culture here. So the next thing you need to know about Texas is that it has a very diverse geography. Right by the coast, you have some of the beautiful wetlands and marshes and coastal areas there. We have plains, which actually most of Texas is covered in plains. Just a little note. There are some rolling hills in the Austin and San Antonio area. And the further you go west, you're gonna start to see these big, beautiful plateaus, and you're also gonna be able to find mountains and basins, especially south of El Paso. And the further you go east, and the closer you get to Louisiana and Arkansas, you're gonna start to notice big, beautiful, tall pine trees. There are even volcanoes here in Texas. Now, a lot of them, granted, haven't been active in millions of years, but there are dormant volcanoes here in Texas too. So the next thing that you're really gonna need to know before moving here to Texas is that Texans love their guns. And no trespassing means no trespassing. And as most of you know, Texas is an open carry state. And if you find someone who just got their, carry license, they cannot stop talking about it. And they'll invite you to the gun range. Maybe they'll invite you to go hunting with them at one point. The biggest reason as to why guns are so heavily emphasized here is that people do a lot of hunting. It's a very popular recreational thing to do with friends and other family members, especially if you just want to go hang out and go to the deer lease and shoot some deer, or maybe not shoot some deer and pretend like you did. I guess it's similar to going fishing, right?
Feed the fish.
Those of you that really love to fish, well, there's people here that really love to hunt. I think hunting's just become a part of our natural culture here in Texas. All right, the next thing that you absolutely need to know is that Texans love their football. Even if the Cowboys or the Texans or whoever is not playing for the Super Bowl, you can almost bet that you'll be invited to a Super Bowl party. And if you're not watching the teams that are playing, you're for sure just hanging out and watching the commercials. There's really a strong love for football here, even at the high school level and live on the local television stations. But the love for football doesn't stop there. Many of your major Texas universities like Texas A&M, Texas Tech, University of Texas, SMU, or TCU will spend millions and billions of dollars on their football program. And if you happen to know someone who went to college at one of those colleges that I mentioned, you'll start to realize and notice that they're pretty hardcore about who they root for in college football. And if you know someone who's gone to one of those universities, football is kind of a sensitive topic, especially if those football teams aren't doing so well. You can expect to be haggled by another certain team. And those graduates, especially me, because I'm a part of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2005. Whoop! Sorry, I got a little crazy there. All right, the next thing we're gonna talk about are your manners.
Howdy, ma'am.
Manners are a very big deal here. So as long as I can remember, my mom and my Aunt Mary would always say, Rebecca, now what do you say? And I would say, yes, ma'am. That was kind of ingrained in my brain. All the way from when I was a little girl to now. If I were to say, yes ma'am or yes sir to you, even if you were younger than me or just a little bit older than me. That does not mean that I think you're old. That means I'm trying to show you a sign of respect. So if someone says yes ma'am or yes sir, they're actually trying to give you a form of respect here in Texas. And where you are from, yes ma'am and yes sir might mean a sign of respect for elders, but here in Texas, it's just a broad, general sign of respect for other people. So the last thing that you need to absolutely know before you're considering moving here to Texas is that Texans say funny things here. We not only say funny things, but we call things, but we have other names for things. And just because a word is spelled a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that's how that word is pronounced. So words like y'all, gonna, fixin', or howdy are all commonly used words and phrases here in Texas, especially y'all. Y'all gonna meet me at the house? Something else that you need to know, if you're ordering a drink and you say you want Coke, it doesn't just mean Coke. It could mean Fanta. It could mean Dr. Pepper. It could mean Pepsi. So Coke just doesn't mean Coke. It means anything that's carbonated. And if you offer someone a soda, don't expect anything else but carbonated water. And Texans are also notorious for creating their own pronunciations of certain words. If you're going out with friends and you're going to Whataburger, not Whataburger. So this word in Texas is pronounced Pedernales. This word, Palacios. This word is Mahia. And the last one, it's not wacko, it's Waco. If you're trying to figure out where in Texas you want to settle and you want to live,
I got an idea.
here are some things that you need to consider. The housing affordability and the overall cost of living in that specific city of Texas. You want to make note of the culture, if you like the culture there or not, because every city in Texas is going to have its own unique way of life and own unique culture to it. You definitely want to study up on the job market and check the unemployment rate for that city to see how comfortable you feel moving there and trying to obtain work there. You want to check out an area's safety by checking the FBI crime maps for each and every city here in Texas. And lastly, you want to take a closer look at the educational attainment. How many universities, how many opportunities for education are available to those that live in that particular city? Do they have a lot of community college? Do they have a lot of four-year institutions? What is it like from an educational perspective for that particular city? Well, that's everything for today's video. If you have any other questions about moving to Texas or moving specifically to either Dallas or McKinney or any of the other surrounding areas, don't hesitate to give me a call. My contact information is in the description below. And as always, have a great day and I'll see you on the next one. But what's really the truth? Here? Although Austin claims that they have the best tacos in the state, Dallas. I can't think of other sodas right now.